Hello and welcome to AB in Focus. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Bally Singh, the Chief Marketing Officer of Everdome, one business building a hyper-realistic version of the Metaverse. Bally, thank you for joining me and welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure, very excited to be here.
So to start with, Bally, you yourself have a couple of decades of experience in the entertainment and events industry. I thought it might be interesting if we started with you connecting the dots for me between those sectors and the Metaverse, and how do those three intersect?
I think entertainment's just the start point of this industry, but it's a great place to start. And the reason why we chose the Middle East, Everdome chose the Middle East, is because of the expansion of entertainment, not just in Dubai or Abu Dhabi. We're talking about Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and other regions as well. They're really focused on entertainment. And as you know, gaming was the way that the Metaverse was introduced. So I really think we're going to see a lot of growth. I think they expect in the next 5 years, there's going to be a $28 billion industry. I believe the entertainment industry here in the Middle East it's in the billions already. So there's a lot of growth and there's a lot of excitement in this industry.
Do you see that entertainment is one of the first industries to reach into the Metaverse? And if so, where do you see the next step beyond entertainment, beyond us going to virtual concerts?
I think it is one of the first industries to take on, but I believe also fashion is really looking for solutions, because right now the other metaverses out there aren't very hyper-realistic. So with Everdome, we've added a new dimension to this industry, and it's all about detail. I mean, if you want to be immersed into the metaverse, you want to feel like you're in reality. I was having this conversation the other day. People, countries like the Middle East, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and so on, people can go on holiday before they go on holiday. So if I want to go check out Ferrari World in Abu Dhabi, I can just pop into the metaverse, have a look around. Right, I'll take the kids here, here, here. This is going to be a ride we're going to avoid. And then after that, we'll go to Waterworld or whatever else we're going to do. So the scope and the opportunities in the metaverse are huge.
Obviously, we've used that phrase a couple of times now, hyper-realistic. Perhaps it might be interesting if you could just explain to me precisely what I would experience out of a hyper-realistic metaverse.
I think, when you look at other metaverses out there, they're very cartoon-like. So they're very blocky. It's very hard for the consumers to move around in those metaverses because there's no detail. Now, what Everdome's about is all about detail. And that's why companies like Alfa Romeo joined us and, gave us the opportunity, and we did a partnership with them because they want the detail. So, they don't want a cartoon-like looking F1 car. They want the detail, they want the wheels, the engine. The way the product looks is key. And that's what we basically create in the metaverse, a like-to-like experience. Well, the closest you can get. We're constantly evolving in this industry. So every month there's something new being created.
That must be challenging, though, building hyper-realism in comparison. There's a reason why other businesses have chosen to go the route of cartoony, non-realistic. Yeah. There must be certain challenges inherent with building that kind of metaverse. How have you guys attempted to overcome those?
There are some serious challenges because of the bandwidth you need to use. But companies like Google are really, really pushing forward the ways and the technology to basically adapt and make this work. So there are challenges involved, but the processes are there, the sections which people go into at the one time, the volume, all of this is being created because everybody knows that this has to be created because it is the future. This is the new .com of the world. And I think brands and the blue chips of the world know that, and they're trying to adopt as fast as they can.
The metaverse is one of those subjects that has a huge amount of hype behind it. I mean, you yourself just mentioned there that this is the new .com. It is the future. Blue chips are invested. Facebook changed its name to Meta, for instance. But that being said, is it all just hype? When are we going to see consumers getting involved in the metaverse? When are brands going to have use cases? Explain it to me and prove to me that it's more than just another buzzword.
I think you've got a great question there, because is it just hype? I think people thought the .com was just hype as well. And when the internet was created, everyone was like, no, it's just a passing trend. And look at it now. It's almost $1 trillion industry. So it's definitely not a hype. I think brands out there are struggling to keep the consumer on their websites, to keep the consumer entertained. The attention span right now is 5 seconds. How do you capture your audience and sell somebody something in 5 seconds? Is near enough impossible. So now when you've got the gaming side of things and you've got the normal consumer. So to entertain the consumer, number one, we started with the gaming side. So gamers love being in this virtual world. So, that's a huge industry by itself. But now the consumers are interested and now they're intrigued. And I really believe because they are intrigued, they want access. And access right now is not very easy with entering the metaverse. But with Everdome, that's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure the masses enter the metaverse and it's easy for them to enter.
How do you make it easy? And maybe that's a silly question. How do you make it easy to enter the metaverse?
The same way any website's easy. You go onto websites and they're complicated, right? If we give them a turnkey solution, you put on your Oculus, you press 2 clicks, 3 clicks, you know how it is when it comes to sales. If it's a 2-click solution and bang, you're in the metaverse, it's great, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to really make this as easy as possible for the consumer to enter the metaverse.
Obviously, security concerns are more paramount than ever before in terms of privacy and data security. How do you build security into the metaverse and make sure that you can protect people's data?
I think this is a new frontier. And when there's new frontiers, there's always challenges. But I think because we're building this from the ground up, and there's so much out there that we can use to plug in, and we're constantly updating the security aspects and the data aspects, I think it's not going to be a problem.
And when you're talking about security as well, there's another aspect of this. The metaverse is just one part of this Web 3.0 suite of technologies. Yeah. How does cryptocurrencies and crypto technology and the blockchain intersect with the metaverse and intersect with Everdome's metaverse?
I think the question is with a lot of people is how does blockchain work in general? Everybody out there scratches their head, should I get into crypto? Should I get into blockchain? Is blockchain even the same as crypto? What's Web3? Everybody's confused. And I'm not just talking about consumers. I'm talking about CEOs. I sit there in these conferences and everybody's, saying their bit. And then it's like question time. And you see all these CMOs' hands, drop down. And they're like, no, I don't want to look stupid. So I think it's about holding companies' hands and guiding them through. And that's what we're doing at Everdome. We're basically creating new partners where we take you from the ground up to the actual consumer level. So I think it's about education. People really need to know about what crypto is. It's just a different way of transferring assets and funds. It's a safe way. Everything's transparent. It's secure. And the privacy elements are there, obviously. So I think it's the future. I think if companies like BlackRock and Mubadala are all investing in this, I think the consumer's money's safe.
I do remember you recently published an opinion piece on Arabian Business titled "Hop on the Crypto Wagon or Be Left Behind." Is that something that you still stand by?
100%. Mm-hmm. I know at the moment crypto is at a rocky stage, but all markets are. We're all uncertain of the current climate and the future. So, especially with the war, prices, inflation, I think all these things add to the insecurity, but crypto's here to stay.
Will I be entering the metaverse and paying for my virtual products using cryptocurrency? Is that a potential future? Paint me a picture.
Definitely. I think a lot of people are going to think of the way they save their money and the way they bank. I mean, if crypto's growing the way it is, obviously at the moment it's taking a bit of a downfall, but it's just another investment. How safe is your money in the bank?
Oh, you're asking me. I like to think pretty safe, to be fair, but perhaps maybe virtual assets are safer. Is that the suggestion?
I think there's a risk in anything you invest in. And I believe the bank is an investment too. I mean, we all look at a bank, who do we go with? And to be honest with you, I feel secure with my investments in the Middle East. And I believe this is the reason why we moved here, and I moved here as an individual, because I feel secure. And the Middle East is one of those places I call home because of that reason.
So again, you've mentioned the Middle East a couple of times and what some of the reasons behind why you've chosen the Middle East. I thought perhaps we could dig a little bit deeper on that subject. Why the Middle East? Why Dubai? Where do you see the UAE and Dubai in particular sitting globally as a player in Web3 technology, in the metaverse and in crypto?
I think the world knows that the Middle East is the the main point. It's a frontier. This is where everything starts. And, back before in history, it wasn't. Now, all of a sudden, any new technology, anything that's cutting edge, it starts from the Middle East. And Web3 is one of the things they're pushing to another level. They're educating, I can't mention companies or, authorities, but they're going out actively training their staff and all government entities about Web3. There's courses that they're giving to their employees because they're that involved and embedded in Web3.
Do you think that global leadership in Web3 is built ground up in the Middle East, or has it been built from a top-down leadership approach as well? How has that developed? Because as you mentioned, it's not always been the case.
I think the leadership here in the Middle East see trends and see opportunities. They read the future. And it is from the top up. I mean, our prince here is always at the very, very forefront, and he's pushing Web3, and he's pushing the metaverse, and he's pushing crypto, which is great. The Prime Minister himself is backing Web3, and I think it's a very, very exciting time for the Middle East.
Okay, last couple of things from me. I don't want to keep you here all day. But firstly, you mentioned earlier about working with partners and about how you're helping to build technology for partners. I thought we'd spend a moment here talking around this aspect of collaboration. How can you build new technologies collaboratively? Have you got any advice for other business leaders out there about how you can engage partners throughout the process?
I think with the way Everdome works and the land sales that we're doing, this is a way of enticing partners. So Alfa Romeo took space in the metaverse. Other brands also. Even Formula One drivers, Pierre Gasly has taken space in the metaverse to create his own racing track. So I think the future is metaverses jumping from each other. So it's not going to be a restricted access, it's going to be an open access. So if I'm in Sandblocks or Roadblocks or whatever, you name the metaverse, it'll be easy for them to jump into Everdome, and then the next metaverse, and the next metaverse. This is the approach that Everdome is taking, because it's very important to have that access, not restrict access like a lot of social media channels do. And when it comes to comparing Everdome with social media, and you were talking about how do businesses adopt, I like to think we're the LinkedIn of metaverses, and we're not the TikTok of metaverses. No, we want to be this hub where businesses can expand and invite their consumers and have an amazing experience at the same time.
And how are you going around educating businesses that they should be prepared for Web 3.0 and for the metaverse? Are they educating fast enough?
You see, we're not going around educating. We're getting people knocking at our doors because of the simple fact we're at the forefront. We are really, really pushing. One of our first partnerships was the Formula One Alfa Romeo team. I mean, that really made a statement that, okay, we need to stand up and take notice. Now other teams are approaching us, other cryptos are approaching us, other blue chips are approaching us. I can't mention names, but right now, it's so exciting to be in this space.
Okay, so final question. Everdome itself, obviously we've spoken around the company a lot. What can we expect in the future? What is there over the horizon? Can you give us a peek into the future?
I think before I answer that question, I should invite you into the metaverse. I'd love you to come and experience it. Right now, we've got the alpha version. Everybody's not got access, but key NFT holders do, top tier NFT holders do have that access. So I'd love you to come and
I'd be
experience
delighted.
it. I think that's the key. It's all about experiencing it. And then once you're experiencing it, you won't be able to get out.
Well, on that note, I'm going to get locked in the metaverse. Bally, thank you very much for joining us today. I appreciate your insights. And we'll see you again very soon.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.